Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Enneagram and Coaching. I'm Hillary, your certified Enneagram life coach, and today I'm going to teach you guys about the type 7 in the workplace. Alright guys, so I know the workplace looks so different right now, right? For some of you, you're working at home, you're working at your kitchen table, or maybe you have an office at home. It might look like Zoom calls, text, FaceTime, or it could even be in person, right? There's so many different scenarios going on in the world right now, but the one thing that has stayed constant is the need to be able to work with other people. And so that's why I'm doing this series, How to Work with Each Type. And today we are covering the type 7, the enthusiast. Whether you are a 7, you work with a 7, or you work for a 7, this video will help you. And actually I've gotten so many comments from you guys telling me that this is helping you outside of the workplace too, in your home, in your friendships, in your family, that all these things that I'm teaching, you're able to use them in your everyday life. And so I love hearing that. And then also if you are a 7, still watch, because another thing I'm hearing from you guys is it's helping you guys see how other people see you. And that is a huge help to you guys as well. So I'm going to cover lots of info today on the type 7. But before I do, don't forget to push the like button. Please give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and then also subscribe. That helps me guys to keep making these videos for you through the YouTube platforms. So let's learn about the 7. Who are they? Who are the type 7s? Well, they're called the enthusiast. They are the visionaries. They need freedom to pursue new ideas, adventures, opportunities. They love having the freedom to do that. They love to interact with people and get to know them and engage with them about things that they love. They usually bring an optimistic and positive attitude to everything that they do. They are spontaneous, playful, extroverted, and enthusiastic. And if you want more info about the type 7, I have lots of videos already covering the heart of the type 7. I even have some interviews of me interviewing type 7s. I'll link a couple of those down below because that's not what this video is about today. Today we're going to talk about the type 7 in the workplace, but I just wanted to give you a little info on who the 7 was. Okay, so let's move on to the strengths of the type 7. What are their strengths? The first one is they have extremely high levels of energy. Whether they are getting their to-do list done, planning a project, leading something, whatever it looks like, they have a bundle of energy to put towards it. They're super gifted at brainstorming and envisioning all the possibilities. They're gonna be the ones that are usually cheering you on. They're great motivators and yeah, super, like they're that cheerleader for people. They bring the can-do attitude to work. They're the ones that are like, yep, we can do it. They believe it. They imagine the best case scenario and always think everything's gonna turn out good. They are called reframers. They can turn any negative thing into a positive thing. I don't know why every time I think of this for the type 7, they're so good at reframing things. I always think reframe, reframe. But yeah, they're the ones that if something's negative, they're gonna be able to see the positive in it and just reframe it for good. Okay, so let's move on to areas of development. And I'm gonna share 3 different areas of development that I think are important for the type 7. The first one's gonna be, it's hard for them to commit to things in advance. They need freedom. They might feel boxed in, but some of the questions I want you to ask yourself if you're type 7 when this happens, when you're like, oh, I can't commit. First thing when this happens, now this isn't always a bad thing, but here in the area of development, I'll say, ask yourself, is there a reason why you don't want to commit? Is it deeper than what's going on in the moment? Or does it just plain make you feel boxed in? You know, those are just some of the questions to ask yourself. The second one is they can get too fast paced. They might not pay attention to all the important details because they're going so fast. Sometimes if you're a 7, you need to be able to slow down and go through the task with more detail so that the job is done well. The third thing is 7s tend to run away from hard, painful, sad emotions. An area of development would be to stay in the emotion and process all the way through it, because this leads to a healthier 7, and you'll also learn to be more present. All right, so let's move on to, you might be working with a type 7 if they get extremely animated about projects and things that they are working on. They're like the ones that are like, hey guys, oh my gosh, this is exciting. Not all 7s, I do want to put that out there. There are subtypes of 7s and some 7s aren't like that, but for the most part, the 7s tend to be very animated when they're talking about something they love and they're excited about. Another thing, you might be working with a 7 if they're charming and funny and they get along with everybody. They are amazing motivators. They inspire people to do the things that they did not think that they could do. Another, you might be working with a 7 if they overbook themselves, they arrive late to meetings, or they just forget things. And the last thing is when things get hard or heavy, they might be the ones that are making a beeline for the door because that kind of stuff can be hard for them. All right, moving on to what's great about working with a type 7. Like I said, they're super funny. They make work fun. They are the life of the party and they just love everybody. They are open to listening to others and will always try to make sure other people, like team members and whoever, feel heard and supported. Because they need a great deal of freedom at work, they will give this to people. And if they are your boss, they're probably more than likely not paying attention to the time clock. But I will say, I know a bunch of 7s and they are like, you know, you can have all the freedom you want, but you got to get your work done, because they love freedom, but they also get their work done. The last one is they are sincerely interested in people. Whether they work with you, your friends, or whatever that is, they want to get to know you and they love to do life with you. Okay, so let's move on to a type 7 would say it's hard working with others because the first thing is people who don't enjoy work as much as they do, they can be hard for them. The next thing is when people don't allow them space and time to brainstorm. They don't want, like, if something just comes across their desk and is like, okay, you got to do it right now, that can be hard for a 7 because they do want to brainstorm, they do need that space, and they want to do an amazing project. Another thing a 7 might say is if there's a ton of rules and not a lot of freedom, because getting to work on time might actually be hard for a 7, but more than likely they are the ones that get like these amazing ideas at like 10 o'clock at night and work for 2 hours and put on a ton of work. But let's be honest, that's off the clock. And so they will work when it's not work hours. That 9 to 5 can be hard for a 7 sometimes. Another thing a type 7 might say that it's hard working with others because is when people don't like to have fun at work like they do, because they believe working and fun can definitely go hand in hand, and they don't want to be judged for that. They think that the two can and should go together. And the last thing is people that don't see things as positively as they do, maybe the people rain on their parade or bring a lot of negative towards them, that can be hard for them to work in that kind of environment. All right, so let's move right into ways to communicate with a type 7. The first way I would say is if you're communicating through text, use a ton of emojis, exclamation points, capital letters, anything that says, I'm excited, you know, they're gonna love that. So that's a great way to communicate with them. But on the same hand, I do realize that there are other types that are like, I've never used emoji in my life. And so obviously that's not the expectation. I'm just saying that could be a great way to communicate with them. The next thing I would say is if you have to have a meeting or talk about something hard with them, maybe start off with something positive and then go into something hard or the negative, whatever. I think that that would be a good way to communicate with them. The next thing is use their ideas when solving an issue or a problem. Give them as much control as you can of the solution and the outcome. That definitely could help. The last thing is try not to be too judgy. They can feel it because, you know, they're excited and like sometimes they feel like, you know, they look so different from everybody else on their mannerisms and how they are. They definitely can pick up if you're judging them. And so try not to be judgy. Try to just accept them and for who they are and let them be them and not have that expectation that they would show up the way you show up. Which let's move right into how to get along with a type 7. The first one is appreciate their stories and ideas and listen patiently without shutting them down. The next one is give them lots of encouragement, independence, and space. 7s like a lot of freedom to do the work the way they want to do it. If they have a boss, they need the boss to trust them. That's really important to them. For the boss to trust them to get the job done, because they will do it. They just don't want to be micromanaged. They don't micromanage and they don't want to be micromanaged. Last thing, avoid excessive criticism. Now, the key word I said is excessive because they don't mind legitimate criticism. But if it doesn't have a constructive purpose, it's going to hurt them and they're going to feel resentful. So it needs to have a purpose. It needs to be constructive criticism, not excessive. All right, so let's move on to how to motivate a type 7. I feel like this has kind of been covered in some way or another, so I'm just gonna sum it up. The first thing they are motivated by is new ideas and adventures. The second thing, multiple options. Third thing, meeting new people and getting to know them. The fourth thing, fun events, especially fun work events. They love them. The fifth thing I can think of is choices, and lots of them. But actually, I'm thinking of one last thing that does motivate a 7 that I have not said up till this point. Their love for creative and trendy aesthetics. This can definitely motivate them. Not all 7s, but the ones I know for sure, they do have a love for trendy aesthetics and creativeness, and so that definitely can motivate them. Okay, so we're at the end. The last thing I want to cover today, which is growth practices for the type 7. First thing I would say to a 7 is slow down to think and process through things that are upsetting you. Slow down and process them. Learn to become conscious of your need to avoid pain and discomfort. And so that is a deep, deep need in you. But what's healthy is to stop, think, and process. And so try to implement that into your life. The next one is when you are reframing things or refocusing negative things, learn to recognize when you are just wanting to see the things the way you want them or wish them to be. It's important to just be able to recognize this. Sometimes you do need to see things as they are or how others are seeing them, and this is okay. Last thing is learn to notice when you are amping up your excitement and enthusiasm as a way to avoid something. See, the enthusiasm and the amping and the excitement is not wrong, but when you're doing it as a way to avoid something, that's when I think that you need to look a little deeper into what's going on. And it's important for a type 7 to learn to be okay in the moment if it is hard or tough. So, all right, well, guys, that's it. Those are the 10 things I wanted to share with you about working with a type 7 today. I hope you learned something about yourself, the people you work with, the people you work for, or if there's a 7 just in your life at all, friend, family, anything. I hope you learned something about them today, something that will help you embrace them and love them and just enjoy them more, because that's one of the big reasons why I teach this, so that we will love each other and let each other be who you're meant to be. And I think that is important. So, and if you want to watch the other how to work with types videos, I have types 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 already done. I'll link those in the box below if you want to go and check those out, because you guys know I think it's super important not only to learn about ourselves, but to learn about everybody else in our life too. Super important. But yeah, if you want to find me on social media, I'm Hillary_McCaskey_coaching. I also have an Enneagram Instagram, Enneagram and Coaching. You can find me there. And I have a website, EnneagramandCoaching.com. All 3 places lead right to me. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And subscribe. I have tons of videos coming your way. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time. Bye, guys.